Welcome to another edition of The Wake Up. We are back here on the Spencer Walsh Radio Network. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. On today's show, we're talking about another Trump cabinet official hit with some ethics concerns, Trump heading to Britain, the most powerful prince in Washington, and more. That is all going to be very interesting. And also, if you weren't able to use YouTube last night, we're going to be able to tell you why in just a few minutes. So stay with us right here on the Spencer Walsh Radio Network for a lot of fun stuff. We start with this new report here from the New York Times where an ethics scandal is arising. Times investigation found that Chao had repeatedly used her connection and status in China. Elaine Chao, this is the transportation secretary, she improved the profile of Foremost Group, which is her family's shipping firm, which has deep ties to the economic and political elite in China. So she used her connection and status in China to help Foremost, which benefits from industrial policies in Beijing that are at the heart of the diplomatic tensions, interestingly enough, with Washington. She has no stake in Foremost, but she and her husband, Senator Mitch McConnell, have received millions of dollars in gifts from her father, James, who ran the company until last year. So some of the takeaways from the investigation. The Chao family's connection to the Chinese state go back decades. James Chao, who's 91, Miss Chao's father, studied navigation at a university in Shanghai before fleeing the mainland ahead of a communist takeover in 1949. His schoolmate for a time, Jiang Zemin, would become China's president. As China was emerging from decades of turmoil in 1984, the Times writes, the Chao family took a stake in a state-owned Chinese manufacturer of marine electronic equipment, documents show. The company targeted sales to China's military, among other sectors, who is closely affiliated with a ministry run by Jiang. After Jiang came to the Communist Party a few years later, Chao met with him at least 6 times, including in August of 1989 in Beijing, inside the party's secretive leadership compound. Chao's family members said they could not recall this investment. The family shipping company is centered in China. So Foremost Group is a New York-based shipping company founded by Chao in 1964. It landed its first big contract with the U.S. government, shipping rice to Southeast Asia during the Vietnam War. Now it builds most of the ships in the state-owned shipyard in China, with some financed by Chinese government loans. In at least 2 instances, these Chinese-backed, Chinese-built ships enter long-term contracts to deliver iron ore for a state-owned steelmaker. More than 70% of Foremost freight goes to China, and most of this is iron ore, according to recent shipping data. So, as budget cuts have targeted America's shipping sector, Trump administration's commitment under Chao has been questioned. So, the Trump administration has left little data by the federal government that the federal government is using, was willing to use its clout to boost American industrial sectors, including coal and steel. Those efforts have not extended to the maritime industry under Chao's leadership. So that is going to help her company in Foremost. The Transportation Department budget during her tenure has repeatedly called for cuts to programs intended to support the depressed system of American flag ships. The agency budget has also called for scaling back plans to replace 5 Academy ships to train a new generation of American mariners. Agency officials noted that many of the cuts were forced on the department by the White House, and that some of the same programs had previously been targeted, only to see the money restored by Congress, as happened with Trump's cuts. With the action by Congress, the plans to build new training ships are now back on track. Overall maritime spending is up, but the proposed cuts have led to bipartisan questions about Trump administration's commitment to shipping and how really the transportation secretary may have something to do with this. That does continue, again, to raise ethical issues. There are some takeaways from the investigation from Michael Forsyth and Eric Lipton in the New York Times. So, that is a very interesting thing to keep an eye on. As that's all happening, Elaine Chao's boss, Donald Trump, is landing just now in the United Kingdom, which is going to be very, very interesting stuff. So, he landed in Britain this morning for a 5-day tour, including a state banquet at the Buckingham Palace with Queen Elizabeth and a meeting on Tuesday with British Prime Minister Theresa May. So, excuse me. Yeah, so the thing is, the president will also attend the latest commemoration of the 75th anniversary of D-Day. So yeah, that's some of the things he's going to do. In a country already roiled by Brexit, Trump's penchant for uncensored opinions is really likely to capture some headlines. This morning, he called Sadiq Khan, who's London's mayor, a stone-cold loser. Yeah, so that's all very positive stuff. So yeah, he also said that Trump should. In an interview published before his arrival, Trump said that Britain's next leader should walk away from the withdrawal negotiations with the EU to extract a better deal. Ugh, I'm glad Britain doesn't have Trump running its country. They'd be in no deal already, that's for sure. Yeah, so the EU, yeah, he also said that Boris Johnson, a pro-Brexit foreign secretary, would be a good candidate to succeed as May's prime minister. Yeah, so he pretty much endorsed the buffoon, Boris Johnson, who's well known as a buffoon. Yeah, let's see what he's up to right now. Yeah, and another interesting thing is the Trump baby blimp will fly again. If you remember the last time Trump was about to come, they had a big protest with a Trump baby blimp. That really wasn't that big. It sounds, saying the word blimp makes it sound bigger than it really was. But it was quite a sight to behold. It's going to be out there flying again. The president has been barred from speaking from Parliament. And moments before arriving, Trump took aim at London's mayor. So that's a little unfortunate. He said, quote, at Sadiq Khan, who has been by all accounts done a terrible job as mayor of London, who has been foolishly nasty to the visiting president of the United States, by far the most important ally of the United Kingdom. He is a stone-cold loser who should focus on crime in London, not me. Connor reminds me of our very dumb and incompetent mayor of New York City, de Blasio, who has done a terrible job, only half his height. I don't know what that means. In any event, I'm looking forward to being a great friend of the United Kingdom and am looking forward to much of my visit. I'm looking very much forward to my visit. Landing now. Thanks for the update, bud. Yeah, he has feuded with this mayor before, with large protests greeted the president in London during a visit last year. Khan allowed demonstrators to fly a giant orange balloon of Trump, depicted as a baby in diapers. The Post creator told news outlets Sunday that the mayor granted him permission personally to fly the balloon again before Trump's visit. Days before Trump's visit, Khan wrote an article published online on Saturday in The Observer saying, "It's too late to stop the red carpet treatment, but it's not too late for the Prime Minister to do the right thing. Theresa May should issue a powerful rejection, not of the U.S. as a country, the office of the presidency, but of Trump and the far-right agenda he embodies." But I highly doubt that the really political coward Theresa May is going to do that. But again, it's worth a try, and yeah, I definitely would. I'd definitely be interesting to see how she reacts and responds to the push of Trumpism. Yeah, so all very interesting stuff. Prince Mohammed bin Zayed, who's the de facto ruler of the UAE at this point, is almost unknown to the American public, but he controls sovereign wealth funds worth $1.3 trillion, as among one of the most influential foreign voices in Washington. Prince Mohammed has urged the U.S. to adopt his increasingly aggressive approach to the Middle East, particularly his two enemies, Iran and the Muslim Brotherhood. So this could be interesting because Iran has been attacked recently by the United States. Has really been encroached on, let's just say. Like the push for war has been particularly strong recently in Iran, and obviously Trump recently declared the Muslim Brotherhood a terrorist group. He appears to have found a willing audience of President Trump, who has repeatedly supported the prince's positions, or even over the reservations of U.S. officials. So, yeah, some of the takeaways here from this. His special forces, Prince Mohammed bin Zayed of UAE, are active in Yemen, Libya, Somalia, and Egypt's North Sinai. He's helped establish a ring of forts and bases around the Horn of Africa. He's worked to thwart democratic transitions, and helped install a reliable autocrat in Egypt, and led a drive to isolate Qatar, his regional rival. He also helped a protege to power in Saudi Arabia, Prince Mohammed bin Salman, now 33, who has captured the attention of the West, especially since American intelligence agencies concluded that he ordered the killing of dissident Jamal Khashoggi. But the Saudi prince's rise to power was aided by assiduous advocacy in Washington from the elder Prince Mohammed. The Emirati prince was also the first to argue to Washington for some aggressive moves they've undertaken together, including the military intervention in Yemen and the attempt to isolate Qatar, a campaign that began with the act of online sabotage orchestrated by the UAE, according to American investigators. So that is very interesting stuff. So it seems like this guy even more dangerous, even more experienced than Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia is on this. Like, it just seems that we really need some better princes. Like, let's just say that. So Prince Mohammed owes his power in large part to his partnership with Washington. After Iraq's invasion of Kuwait, Prince Mohammed came to Washington shopping for weapons, and a senior State Department official, Richard A. Clarke, reassured nervous lawmakers that the UAE would be a force for peace and would never be an aggressor. After leaving the government in 2003, Clarke founded a consulting group that worked extensively with the UAE. The Emiratis eventually acquired more than 80 F-16 fighters and 30 Apache and 30 Apache combat helicopters. And Prince Mohammed hired former American officers to help run his military and former American spies to help set up his intelligence services. And with the advice of retired American generals, Prince Mohammed began to build a domestic Emirati defense industry, which already exports Emirati-made armored vehicles to clients like Libya and Egypt. He's bucked American policy in the region. He defied a UN embargo to arm what would be Libyan strongmen and ignored an American entreaties to end the feud with Qatar, a host of a U.S. airbase. So, I mean, honestly, I support Qatar. It's a pretty cool country. This just shows you how much I know about Middle East policies. Prince Mohammed also devotes tens of millions of dollars a year to hiring former American officials, paying lobbyists, and donating to charities Washington cares about, and contributing to the city's research institutes and things people have noticed. Really, it's that simple. That's some of the takeaways from New York Times' David D. Kirkpatrick. So here's another interesting story. YouTube, Snapchat, and Amazon and other services that rely on Google's technology, just Gmail and YouTube, were disrupted for several hours by what the company said were high levels of network congestion. But meanwhile, with growing political pressure for scrutiny of tech giants, two federal agencies that handle antitrust matters have split up oversight of Google and Amazon, according to three people with knowledge of the matter. The Justice Department is taking Google, the FTC will be taking Amazon. This doesn't mean the agencies have opened investigation, as people said. An Amazon spokesman declined to comment, as did Alphabet, which is obviously Google's parent. Trump Tower Punta del Este, a 25-story condominium with an indoor tennis court and a helipad, was one of Trump's most ambitious development projects, but it's now fallen behind schedule. The Miami-based broker selling the condos is suing the local developer, and some buyers are selling their units. The problems in Uruguay are a microcosm of the challenges facing the Trump organization as it stakes its future on projects outside the U.S., possibly for some sort of political influence, or one possible way of political influence. And also, I think I may know why. It has Eric Trump's face plastered outside the building in a picture that is very widely publicized. So that kind of explains it. People are just like, oh, I can't look at it. All right, time for do some quick hits right now. The White House economist has departed. Chairman of the White House Council of Economic Advisors, Kevin Hassert, will depart shortly, President Trump said on Sunday. The employee who killed 20 in a city government building in Virginia before dying in a shootout with police last week submitted his resignation hours earlier, the authorities said. An national inquiry into the widespread killings and disappearances of indigenous women and girls equates the violence with genocide, according to a long-anticipated report to be released today. So it'd be interesting to find more about what's happening to the native population up there. There has been some violence in Sudan recently. Security forces opened fire on pro-democracy protesters in the country's capital, Khartoum, killing several people, according to Doctors Association and local news media reports. This is not great. Kim Jong-chul, a former spy master, was reportedly seen over the weekend with the North's leader, Kim Jong-un, despite reports he'd been banished to a labor camp or even executed. So that's pretty powerful. So that is all. It's not the best. Some sports. The Golden State Warriors beat Toronto Raptors 109-104 on Sunday. Even the series, they had a game. A piece. Game 3 is going to be on Wednesday.